It's good to have you back. Now, most rural schools tend to have poor infrastructure and they don't have electricity nor lack data and devices for online learning, which has become the norm for many schools during lockdown. To further discuss challenges faced by rural schools and how it's affected the class of 2021, we're joined now by Dr. Khangelani Sibiya, who's a teacher at a high school in rural KZN. Thank you for your time, Doc, and good morning to you. We spoke to, learners, education experts, various interest groups, but let's get some perspective now from you as a teacher, particularly educating in a rural school. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered, and let's say suppose before the pandemic and now during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I want to greet all the viewers as well. Well, I must say that there is a huge difference as compared if we are comparing these two sessions that we have. Looking at before COVID, it was easy then to teach these kids, but now it is not easy, because what is their mind is that there is already they are being disturbed by the pandemic itself, even though we understand that there are some plans that the Department of Education put in place in order to ensure that they are not being affected by the COVID. For an example, they try to change, our department tried to change the calendar in order to accommodate the situation. However, the mentality that our kids have, it's a challenge, because they have that understanding that there is a gap that is there. However, if we're looking at the system per se, obviously it's very difficult, because like myself, I'm teaching grade 12. But then if I'm teaching grade 12, there are those things that they never covered in grade 11, and there's a huge gap. So when you teach, obviously you have to go back to grade 10 work and also go back to grade 11 work before trying to teach what we're supposed to teach in grade 12. So there is that challenge of the gap that is there.
And speaking of your personal experiences then, Dr. Sibiya, take me through how this year has been for you with your class of 2021. I can imagine, losing colleagues, hearing about teachers losing their lives, contracting the virus, and now we're hearing in KZN alone that the budget cuts affecting, obviously, teachers as well. What's been this year like for you?
Well, according to my experience, this is something that we are learning. Oh, unfortunately, then for the class of 2021, this is beyond our control. And what actually I'm doing as a teacher is to try to motivate them to say no, even though it's like this. At the end of the day, they have to write. At the end of the day, they have to go to the universities. So, which means even though the situation is like this, however, we have to look at all the means in order to make sure that our system is not affected completely. So, to me, is we have to always try to motivate even our kids to say no, even though the situation is like this, but we have to proceed with everything. The lives goes on, even though it's like this. Because last year, I remember yesterday, I was talking to other kids to say, you cannot say, I'm not going to do well, even as a teacher. I cannot perform very well on my subject because of the COVID. However, the COVID is not affecting my school only. It's affecting the whole country. Right. In fact, not the country, even the whole world. So it is very important to understand that this situation is not specifically for KZN. It's not specifically for South Africa, but it's everywhere. However, we have to try to come up with a different method. Like myself, I have learned technology when I'm teaching. So I have even created a WhatsApp group whereby I communicate with my kids, whereby I share everything, whereby I even explain the concept using technology. So of which this allows to say, no, we don't have to focus on the traditional way of teaching, but now we have to try to use the technology in order to assist the kids.
And I can see how much they mean to you and how much their success means to you when you refer to them as your kids. When a teacher says my kids, it means they're very dear to his heart. Just before I let you go then, 28 days to the final exams, how are you and your kids preparing to make sure that you get flying colors when those report cards are released?
The thing that we are doing in my school and my kids, even though they finish writing the exams, the trial exams last week, Thursday, but then as a school, we're not closed as yet. We are busy with the program, the last mile intervention program, whereby we are teaching them in 3 hours. We have even changed the timetable now. We are teaching them each subject take 3 hours, and after break another subject take another 3 hours. So basically we already started with the revision, because our understanding is that since they have wrote the trial, now we have to focus on the full to prepare them for the final. So even next week we won't be closing the holidays. We'd also continuing with the revision program, of which would assist them, because at the days, we have so many days if we're looking at the 27th of October. So basically we are busy with the revision, and we're not going to close. We also night and cross in order to prepare.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of work at your hands there, and I'll leave you to it as you of course continue to prep. Thank you so much, Dr. Khangelani Sibiya.